you ever been shamed because of your weight? How did it make you feel? Hurt, sad, angry, isolated? Maybe it made you feel you are unworthy of being loved. Shame can make it hard for you to have relationships with others and can even lead to destructive behaviors. How can you deal with these feelings of shame? Well, psychologists Dr. Connie Stapleton and Caitlin Skaggs join me today to help you get a better understanding of these feelings and to share proactive answers. Don't you go anywhere.
Now available, try ProCare Health's 3 newest products at an amazing price. Get a bag of whey protein powder, a bag of our new multi-flavored mocktail calcium chews, and our new soft chew multivitamin, all for less than $75. Visit ProCareNow.com and enter Susan10 to save even more.
Hi, I'm registered dietitian nutritionist Dr. Susan Mitchell, ex-radio dietitian turned podcaster. You're listening to the Bariatric Surgery Success podcast episode number 112. Let's just cut right through the nutrition and health hype so that you have accurate nutrition information worthy of all of your time and your efforts. I want you to feel well every day. Get out there. Do the things that you want to do. This podcast is for you. Joining me in the studio is Atlanta-based psychologist, Dr. Connie Stapleton. Well, you know Dr. Connie. She brings her vast experience in the mental health aspect of bariatrics to the table, and she gets right to the core of the issues and always shares practical ways for you to improve your relationship with food, with other people, but most importantly, with yourself. Also here today is Caitlin Skaggs, the executive manager with New Hope Girls, which is based in the Dominican Republic and fights trafficking, abuse, and exploitation. Their mission is to rescue girls and empower women. As their stateside rep, Caitlin works to grow awareness of this mission. Much of her work supports the workshop component, and as the demand for their beautiful bags grows, so does the need to hire more women, a wonderful thing. You can find links in the show notes to Dr. Connie's website, as well as her podcast called Bari Aftercare. You also find the website and all the social media links for New Hope Girls. Welcome, Dr. Connie. Welcome, Caitlin.
Hi, Susan. Hi, Caitlin.
So good to be with you this morning.
So, Dr. Connie, I'm going to jump in like I usually do, right with the basics. And let's just get that actual definition when you're talking about shame. And I want you to even go a step further and explain how shame is different from guilt.
Gladly. Well, we're gonna reference Dr. Brene Brown because she is pretty much everywhere. And if you haven't heard of Brene Brown, look her up. Very wise woman. She's a researcher at the University of Houston, and she has a wonderful definition of shame. What she says is that shame is an intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we're flawed and somehow we're not worthy of love and belonging. And that, I cannot imagine a better definition. And so many of us experience that feeling of, I'm just not worth it. I'm not worthy. I'm not as good as other people. So it's an emotion, and it really affects everybody. And when you've experienced it, you know it because it's profound. You can feel it intensely, and it shapes the way we interact in the world. Guilt, on the other hand, isn't really about who we are. We don't think of ourselves as a flawed person, but guilt is about feeling responsible or remorseful for something we've done, a crime or an offense, something that we've done that maybe harms someone else or we think maybe has.
Okay. So, Caitlin, how do these feelings of shame show up in the girls and the women that you care for?
Yeah, well, shame can certainly make it hard for our girls to have relationships with others. We also see it leading to destructive behaviors because at its core, it's this belief that there's unworthiness. There's an unworthiness to who you are, and then actions begin to align with that belief. And we just know that that's simply not true, but that's where our work lies. Our work is in helping our girls and our women step into that shared belief of worthiness.
I'm just thinking, it popped into my mind as you were saying things, Caitlin, that I'm thinking about social media and the profound effect that it has on women of all ages, young and old, and that there's always this, I don't look this way. I don't look this way. I don't look this way. I'm just not unworthy. I will never have that shape or that this or that. So, Dr. Connie, I'm tying that in, thinking how social media puts such pressure on women to look a certain way instead of being proud of just who you are at the core. If you don't look a certain way visually, you're just, not with it. So I'm thinking about how shame is connected to weight and specifically to obesity. Is it? And if so, how?
Well, like you mentioned, this idea that social media has put into our heads that we need to look a certain way. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. But especially for those persons who have suffered from the disease of obesity, they describe intense feelings of shame in relation to their size and how they've been treated because of their size. They definitely report feeling flawed. A lot of times they express feeling unworthy of love and belonging because they don't look like the people in those pictures. And it's absolutely not true. And one of the important things is to help all people realize that regardless of their size, is that we are each and every one of us worthy of love and belonging. And yet the treatment that people of size, larger people, the treatment they've received by others, whether it's strangers, friends, family members, office mates, it's really left them feeling unworthy of belonging, even more so than most of us do in relation to this social media perfectionism. And it's dangerous because it can become really deeply internalized in an identity, and that can lead to unhealthy, self-fulfilling behaviors that just reinforce that feeling of shame and their size.
So, Dr. Connie, is it fair for me to say that shaming feels like bullying to me? Is it part? Okay, so it's part of bullying, right? That's how I see it.
I agree with you.
And by the way, Dr. Connie really gets at it with the bullies. So go back to episode number 64. And if you've got a bully, I don't care if they're in your family, a stranger, or who it is, you want to go back and hear episode 64 on how to deal with bullies. I'm going to put the link in the show notes, or you can find it on the website, breakingdownnutrition.com, by episode number. Again, that's 64. Caitlin, how do you help girls and women in your care overcome this shame, or which has had some bullying effect as well?
Mm-hmm. Well, it really is hard work, but it's work that we're committed to, and it involves hope and it involves the pursuit of healing. And on that journey, it really comes down to understanding core worth, their true worth that's not touchable by anything they've done or anything that has been done to them. So emphasizing inherent value. And that's central to how we get our girls on a path toward healing. Now, there's also some practicalities to it. So yes, there's the belief component, but they also need to establish healthy behaviors and patterns. Now, this is everything from the way we enjoy meals together within our safe houses to expectations around school and education. And, it's even in the way we insist upon positive memories with our girls. So while trauma-informed therapy is really core to the healing journey, we're also augmenting it with broader strategies that all point back to the reality that their worth is untouchable.
I so believe that mental health and nutritional health go hand in hand. That's the reason Dr. Connie's on here with us talking every 6 weeks. You just can't have one without the other. When you've had all of this trauma and you're starting on a new journey, you can't get nutrition. You can learn to eat correctly, but you have to deal with the things that have gone on mental health wise. So I really love to hear, Caitlin, how you do both, that you make sure both are covered. So Dr. Connie, going back to shame again, we've said, it's related to obesity, but is it related to the difficulties in maintaining weight loss? So we go through surgery, you're losing weight, you're starting these new habits, and then, somebody shames you again for part of this. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden that weight loss, some of the old habits creep back. Is it related to maintaining, and what do you do about it?
I believe very strongly that feeling of shame, and I loved the words Caitlin used, untouchable worth. Everybody
Powerful.
has to, get in touch with the fact that we have untouchable worth just because we exist. But if a person doesn't believe that they have that untouchable value or that worth as a human being, it's very hard to engage in behaviors that reflect a feeling of untouchable worth. So if I believe I have a lack of worth, if I don't believe I'm valuable enough, my behaviors are going to fall in line. So if I don't think I'm lovable, it's not very likely that I'm going to behave in loving ways toward myself. If I don't think I'm acceptable, if I don't think I'm worthy of belonging, then sadly, my own behavior is going to align with these internal thoughts and beliefs. So yes, we have to get in touch with the fact that we have worth, are lovable, are valuable, and then the behavior will line up with those beliefs.
This really ties into the question I want to ask Caitlin. The saying, Caitlin, what do you think about this saying that you can't want healing more for someone than they want it for themselves? Is this true?
So before coming to New Hope Girls, I heard this saying and I didn't think much of it. I think like so many people, I just received it. But now I fiercely oppose this statement. And the reason I think it is so important we talk about it is because there's some people who are just not in a position to hope and to dream and to believe that healing is even possible. When some of our girls enter in our care, they are so overcome by their trauma and the shame they're carrying because of their trauma that they cannot hope or believe that it will ever be better. So on those days, we hope for them and we believe for them and we continue walking in that belief until they come alongside us and they believe with us. And this is the important work that we do. And this is the gift that you can offer your friends or family. This isn't unique to New Hope. This is a lesson and a journey for all of us. Is there are times that we have to kind of carry the team, so to speak, until they can join the team on the healing journey. So yeah, you have a role and you can believe for those who maybe are too encompassed in shame to believe for themselves.
I think that Dr. Connie and I both believe this, and that's why we do what we do. That's why I am such a believer in nutrition, but not just in saying, here it is, do this, but in saying, this is why there's hope. This is what it will do. This is how you will feel. This is the energy you will have. This is the way you can live life. Good, healthy eating gives you hope. Like you were talking about, Caitlin, just like Dr. Connie and the things that she teaches, which kind of comes up with this question, Dr. Connie. When someone says to you, gosh, I have a lot of shame. It's just related to my past. Am I ever going to get rid of it? How can I get rid of it?
And I love how this all ties in together because it is possible to get rid of the shame. And a lot of times we do need somebody to believe in us and for us until we can get there ourselves. So I love that Caitlin brought that up because I didn't believe in myself 30 some years ago when I started my journey, and I had people who believed in me until I could join them. And I love that so much. So what do you do if you feel like I have all this shame? How do I get rid of it? Find some help. This is not something that you're going to get out of yourself. Usually, we need somebody to hear us, Brene Brown says, if you find someone who listens with compassion, shame can't survive there. So find a coach or a counselor or a nutritionist, somebody who will listen and guide you and work with you, or get a workbook that's specifically geared towards healing shame. Read some books, listen to these podcasts. Eventually, you will learn where your shame originates, and you can discover tools like we spoke a little bit before the podcast. Positive self-talk, incredibly important. Healthy self-care behaviors, putting healthy, nutritious food into your body, getting some sleep. All of these things, any piece of self-care that you engage in can help to heal shame. Healing shame improves your identity, gives you a positive identity, and that's going to result in continued healthy behaviors. So it's an upward cycle.
I love the words you just said. Shame cannot live where there's compassion. That's powerful to me. So, Caitlin, what would you say to my bariatric community members who are listening, who feel overcome with shame? Because I so often I see the transformation my community is making with the ladies that you're working with.
Yeah. Well, I think that Dr. Connie had amazing wisdom. And one component that I loved especially was this idea of community and not journeying alone. So I would say, get the support you need on your healing journey to combat shame and the challenges and maybe even trauma of your past. But do it in community. We are stronger together. We are more empowered when we walk with others. So please do that. There is a community, this community, and so many more that want to walk with you and journey with you. And then I think, I just want to underscore to everyone listening, the words we live by at New Hope Girls, and these are words for you too. You have inherent and untouchable worth.
Absolutely. Never forget that. So, Caitlin, remind everyone about our wonderful shared partnership for transformation so that members of my community, as they transform their lives, they can also help support the women of New Hope and their transformations.
Absolutely. Well, we have a workshop in the Dominican Republic where amazing women sew gorgeous bags. And by the work of their hands, they're providing for their family, and they're also breaking cycles of exploitation. They're replacing them with cycles of transformation. So you have an opportunity to be part of that transformation story as well by purchasing these beautiful bags and just walking with us. So there's a special code you can use, TRANSFORM15. And that saves you 15% off your purchase, just as our way of thanking you for letting us be part of your community, for stepping into ours, and really just for standing for healing and hope and transformation.
And again, that website is newhopegirls.com. Women helping women. It's a powerful thing. What last thought do you want to leave us with today, Dr. Connie?
Shame will keep you stuck. So do what you need to do. Get the help you need to do. Remember, nobody can do it for you. But as Caitlin mentioned, join a community because you can't do this work alone. But the benefits of doing so affect your whole entire life in many, many positive ways.
Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Dr. Connie, for helping us get unstuck from shame. I love that. I hope you guys will come back again before long.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
If you have any questions you want Dr. Connie to answer the next time she's here, just contact me through my website, breakingdownnutrition.com. You'll see the contact us at the top of the page. You can also post your question in the private Facebook group called Bariatric Surgery Success with dietitian Dr. Susan Mitchell. Come on and join us if you haven't already, or just reply to one of my weekly newsletters. I'll read all those emails that come in myself. And remember, you are worth it, and you are worthy of being loved. And don't forget, if you're not receiving the weekly Breaking Down Nutrition newsletter, just sign up for it on the homepage of my website, breakingdownnutrition.com. That way you'll be the first to hear about these podcast episodes, tips, recipes, new products. I'm all about your success because you're worth it.
Bariatric Surgery Success with dietitian Dr. Susan Mitchell is produced and owned by Practicalories, LLC. All rights reserved. Remember, the content provided on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't create a patient-provider relationship. It's intended to provide reference material and is not designed to provide medical advice. Please consult your healthcare provider regarding any medical issues you have relating to symptoms, conditions, diseases, diagnosis, treatments, and side effects. Podcast guests express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions which do not necessarily reflect or agree with the host, Dr. Susan Mitchell or Practicalories, LLC.